All right, how's it going, everyone? This is Ismortah, and this stream is episode 16 of my custom Ismortah campaign for Kingdom Death Monster. And this is the settlement phase for the beginning of Lantern Year 6. Um, so I don't know if I'm doing this correctly or not, and I kind of don't care as long as you're being consistent. Is I do the lantern years based on when it's triggered. That's the start of the new year. So during the settlement phase, since you update the timeline, I count this as the beginning of the lantern year. My lantern years go settlement phase, hunt, showdown. Cool. So yeah, this lantern year 6, and so there's gonna be a settlement story event. There will be a milestone story event, and then I already have laid out here the majority of the materials. I have some materials that are in storage as well, and sort of like what I plan to purchase with the materials, as well as what I plan to possibly endeavor also with these. And then these are the current locations I currently have as well. And also note that I do now have the capability not only to do ammonia, but also heat. So any of these locked things that required heat or ammonia, I can now do, actually. Like I'm very interested, for example, in making the sickle and pickaxe. It just also needs leather. So that's something to think about upgrading to get more supplies. I can make a rawhide whip because I have ammonia, and I can make a monster tooth necklace because I have heat, for example. All right. So, all right, so let's do it. So again, to go through the steps, I don't know why I put it way over here. These are steps for the settlement phase. And I've already shuffled my innovation deck, as well as my settlement event deck, so we are good to go. Got everything out what I plan on doing. These are all my current innovations, as well as my 2 principles. So you can see it as well. All right, so first step is setup, which we have done. Next is Survivor's Return. I heal all damage and remove tokens, but do not remove gear. All right, so I have not removed gear. This here are just stuff I'm thinking about purchasing. I don't own any of the gear you see here. I just own the resources that you see. And I do now have specialization and guitar. So I'm just putting that here. Actually, maybe I'll just put it here. That's confusing. I'll put it over here. But only one person has specialization, but that's something, for example, I can share with my custom ability of my settlement. Alright, so I removed damage, so let's see, did anyone get hit? No one took physical damage. Good sign. Let's look at armor damage. So this should be at 3 and 1. This should be at 3 and 1 and 1. Okay. Well, Volva took some brain damage directly. And then healed up too. Because I believe she took that damage during the hunt and then healed too. Because whenever you take damage, you take it from insanity. Let's see. This should be 2 everywhere except 1 to waste. So 2, 2, 2, 2 back to arms, 1 to waste. Okay? And then this should be at 1 and 1. And so everyone's survival right now, not survival. Insanity is 3, 1, 2, 5. I got blasted with insanity because of the hunt of last Lantern Year. That's why some people are kind of low. And also everyone got different disorders as well, which we'll take into account before I depart, because certain people are less effective now. Okay, so we've healed damage. I've already removed bleed tokens, whatever else people had, if they had it, including the strength token bonus from Red Fist. Next, gain endeavors. I have 4 people live, so I get 4 endeavors, and that's this. So I'll just put it here to show that I haven't spent it yet, so I have 4 of these. Okay, next I update the timeline. Alright, so we are now on Lantern Year 6. So let's check in the box. And one of the cool things is I did get what I needed to make the White Lion armor complete set. So definitely starting this year, I will start the Antelope and see what that's all about, for sure. Which should be cool. And I'm definitely prepared for it as well. Alright, so we update the timeline. Then we next do the settlement event. Alright. Let's find a place for everything. Alright, settlement event I've already shuffled, so let's see what it is. Wow, this one is a really cool looking card. How they did the picture and the display. Check that out. Doesn't that look cool? This is something about having, instead of a straight line, having this small arch and then this the black. That looks really cool. Stranger in Dark. That's a really cool looking card. So this doesn't have any starting story text or stuff to endeavor. It looks like you just roll on the table and see what happens that I see in the darkness. So this is pretty cool. So I have to start off with a roll. So let's see what happens. This could be really bad. I rolled a 1. This could be very, very bad. Or very good. I don't know. Normally, low numbers are really bad. So this is called A Stranger in the Dark. The stranger speaks, calling himself the Horizon Man. He claims to have touched the water in the sky. In a blink of an eye, the man is gone, leaving his lantern and a pile of bones. Add 1 skull, 1 bone, and 1 broken lantern resource to the settlement storage. And that's it for the settlement. So just somebody appeared, said he's the Horizon Man, and then left a gift. Whew, man, that was lucky. Because, man. Crazy. All right, well, that's it for that settlement. Very short and brief, but we got stuff. And it was just, on this one, a myriad of different things could happen when a stranger appears. All right, so for this, I will record Stranger in Dark. And then I'll do Horizon, and then I'll also write Antelope, because that is what we're gonna go after. So I spelled Antelope correctly. Okay, so that was Stranger in the Dark. So that was brief, but we get stuff, which is cool. So we get a skull. Add 1 skull, 1 bone, and 1 broken lantern. So those are basic resources, but they're very specific ones that I got. It's almost like it's the remains of someone's body. So we get a broken lantern, a monster bone. It just said bone. I assume it means monster bone. And then we also get a monster skull. So now we have more bones to play with too, and more scraps. So we got a broken lantern, a monster bone, and a skull. More resources. Cool. All right, so that was the settlement event. Next up, is any Now we do story events on the triggered story events for the settlement. So, and we do have one, which is Armored Strangers. So this year is all about strangers. Like at first we were trying to like innovate and do creative things, and then we had these bad environmental things happen to our settlement. At the very beginning, first year we created our settlement. Now this year we have all these strangers showing up. We had a stranger show up in the darkness, and now we have armored strangers show up. So we have people starting to discover our settlement. I remember also last year we had a hooded stranger show up right when we had another boon in advancing our civilization. We had a hooded person show up, and now we had a stranger in the darkness. Now we have more strangers. People starting to realize, hey, there's actually a functioning society in this horrible landscape. So story-wise, it fits. It's cool. Like I said, I'm a story buff, and that's why whatever I'm doing, I would rather have it mirror the immersion than a mechanic as designed. To me, this makes more fun. I'm playing for the experience, right? Okay, Armored Strangers. I'll show you a picture. That's me. Like this game book is chiefly an art book. Even how it's designed, it's like a coffee table art book. But then it also has story events and gameplay explanations inside. Armored Strangers. All right. You are visited by enigmatic figures, fully enclosed in armor. They march silently through the settlements. The only noise is a metallic clang as they pause before each survivor and tap their lantern halberds against the ground. The survivors have no choice but to helplessly await their mute deliberations. So it's like I have civilization, and I'm trying to make gear out of a cat, and everyone has some sort of bone, has some sort of head protection, and I have some crude weapons I've made, but now I have these people that appear that are full plate armor and these halberds, which is like an axe on a pike, with also a lantern on it, just appear like an army of these people. Alright. The survivors have no choice but to helplessly await their mute deliberations. Add Kingsman to the Nemesis Encounter list. The strangers count people and take action based on the population total. Kingsman to the Nemesis Encounter list. Let me see here. I don't think there is a Nemesis Encounter list. There's a quarry list, and they're already on this as Nemesis Encounters. So I think that's a artifact from a. Oh, I see. I'll just fill this in. Okay, so I fought a level 1, and now I'm filling the box here for Nemesis monster. So this means it's unlocked. This means I fought it. Okay, I got it. Okay. So they do different actions if I have 7 or less people or 8 or more. So I have a population currently of 12. Originally it was 12, then I buried twins, and then 2 people died. So I'm back at 12. Okay, so they're doing a destructive action. The strangers finish their count and draw their blades and then roll on the table below. Alright, so this could be probably, since it's a destructive action, bad or really bad. Okay, so it's 1d10. I rolled a 6. Okay, The bravest survivors are rounded up. Select the survivor with the highest courage. In case of a tie, select all and execute them. You may resist to avoid this loss. So you have this army of people show up, and which seems like it's like overwhelming odds. How many people showed up, actually? It is said you're visited by enigmatic figures. So I don't know how many. I just know that they were armored. I can see here again. So I either have to kill the people with the highest courage, and if it's a tie, I execute everyone with the highest courage. Or I can resist to avoid the loss. Okay, so let's first see who would die and then see what it is I want to do. Alright, so it said looking for whoever has the highest courage. So out of these four, the highest courage is Citroni, who has 4. Who's my person with really high evasion. And just learned guitar specialization. So from these 4, looks like it's Citroni, my guitar person. Not guitar, Qatar. Let's see here. Anyone else here that has 4 courage? So the only other person with 4 courage is Isma. Isma has 4 courage, 4 understanding. Citroni has 4 courage. So in this case, Citroni and Isma would be executed. So if Citroni is executed, it's not the end of the world, even though he's high evasion, because I have other people with a little bit of evasion and has the fighting arts to share, and someone else actually is learning guitar. But Isma is somebody who's severely maimed, so that wouldn't be a loss as far as functional person society. But she, remember, has the consequence that I have to give 3 people -1 all of their stats. Nerf 3 people in order to sustain her life force. But the -1 to survivors, I could have it go on to any 3 survivors. So I could have it go on to people who are mentally not capable to go into combat to sustain her. But so really the issue is losing Citroni. Now the question is do I want to lose Citroni or try to stop it from happening? So I won't look at obviously what the King's Man can do, because that would be cheating. But I will look at the King's Man basic card, because you should be able to get a basic read on these soldiers because you're looking at them. I mean, as far as like their movement and toughness and stuff like that, and the weapon they attack with. So I'll just look at the King's Man's stat card, this card here, to see, hey, do I think I can actually do battle with this person now? Alright. So the King's Man only has 13 hit points. So as far as that goes, that's, I fought something like that as far as the Butcher. because of the plate armor there, I'm assuming the toughness is 12. So that's really high. So let's see theoretically what my odds would be. Like if I had +1 and 3 with these 3 weapons, that means I would hit on an 8+. So that means I only have like a 1/3 chance of wounding when I do hit, which isn't terrible. It's not impossible, but it's not great odds. But I've had similar odds before fighting the White Lion, but it's still really challenging. But then also, the Kingsman also has these 5 different abilities, of which I have no idea what that does. So that is the thing. One of the things, though, to get taken into consideration is during the Butcher fight, also the person that should have died would have been Citroni also. Like, let's say, because of Hack City. So if he died from Hack City and then I did damage with everyone who was doing really well in the fight, Citroni is someone that should have died to begin with. And now now that they're trying to execute him right now. The problem here is you have someone with a really powerful weapon. Like the Butcher had a really powerful weapon also. But the Butcher also didn't have this insurmountable defense. Like the Butcher's toughness was 9, this is 12. So I had like I had a 50% chance of hitting the Butcher, and this is like a third. So it's not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. It's not dependable. If Isma gets executed, she can't truly die. Like I said, she's defeated. I'll give 3 people that are compromised anyway -1 stats. Another thing that happens in this game is every time you do a Nemesis Encounter, I'm just telling all stuff that's influenced my decision. Whenever you do a Nemesis Encounter, every time you fight that same Nemesis, it always gets more difficult. Okay? It's not like a quarry that you can just choose whatever level you want to do and do it. And also choose what monster. A Nemesis Encounter always happens at certain events in the timeline. And if whatever you fight, it's always 1 level higher than what you fought before. So the fact that this person's going to be coming back, that means if I fight him now, then when I fight him again later, he's going to be even more powerful. But what's interesting is, and I assume that if you fight a level 3, then if I get far enough timeline, I would then fight a level 3 in additional time, because the highest level a monster can go is 3. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe I only read that on the Butcher. I thought I had... Well, of course, this is talking about the story event, Arm of Strangers, not the Kingsman special showdown. Crap. Alright, so what do I want to do? So it's toughness 12. I mean, the bone club, if you have clubs, or somebody hits really hard like that, its strength is 6, so I have a 50% chance of hitting. So it's like the hit stuff with plate, I can't use sharp weapons, because, that just sheens right off the armor. You either have to get between the plates, get really close between plates and stab, or bash. So there may be crit opportunities with sharp weapons, and I have people with good luck, but it's like I need bashing weapons to do dependable damage because it adds more to strength. Like we saw what you planned here. Like I plan to be able to manipulate the behavior more of the monster, and to add more to strength. Have two people with two complete sets, so I have armor to sustain blows. I just see, the thing is, like, even though like the Butcher and the Kingsman probably have the same attack, which is really bad, but I can sustain it. If it takes me longer to hit, that means it's a longer period of time that my people are getting killed. And the fact that I don't even have one person, I have one person basically with a pretty good set. It's just, I would have two, and one person that would be 50% more armor. And I could give people the bone necklaces potentially so they have even more strength to penetrate. But it's like, these are things I plan to do, but I don't think there's anything I can do. Well, like, I'm preparing, but it's like, I don't think I can compete with that. Like, even the Butcher, I got lucky. Like I said, Citroni should have died. And I think now karma is going to catch up with him. Unfortunately. And Isma is just going to have to use the society who's compromised to do their part in sustaining her life force. Because, like, the whole settlement, story-wise, is everyone's contributing to the settlement. So it's either you're fighting or you're contributing your body and your mind in some way for the settlement, either through venturing in the darkness and fighting monsters, or devoting your body and mental well-being toward saving the civilization. So in this case, I think that's just really high. Like I said, I have weapons that can crit. But when I fought the Butcher, he had no crit points. He had no crits, so I got no advantage for that. And if that happens again, the only people that I will be hitting is the one person that has armor and the one person with the club. So I'm going to have 3 people missing. So I'm going to need weapons with more strength. Heavy weapons. Like, it sucks. Like, I'm surrounded by this army of an impossible situation. So the fact that I really have one person with enough armor and weapons to fight, I think, is a liability, because these weapons have a low chance, have like a 1/3 chance of hitting and then a 1/3 chance of wounding. That's not great at all. It doesn't have, it has an amount of hit points that I've done before, like saw me maim the White Lion. But all these would be 12 minus 4 is 8, so I hit on an 8+. Because anyway, I'm sorry to delay. I'm just trying to think, because this is an important decision. Because it's either I resist and maybe I defeat the Kingsmen, but then if they challenge us again, they'll probably come with even more resistance. Level 2 Nemesis versus fight a level 1 Nemesis, but prolong it for later. Do I let these people come into our home? The hooded person just arrived and dueled one of my people and left. And then someone arrived, gave us gifts, and someone arrived and now is going to execute. But these are more powerful people, or mysterious people. And I'm trying to get more mysterious. We have some mysterious powers that we have, but fucking shit. Yeah, I think we're going. I think to. Because, like, in reality, I'd only lose one person. Because Isma, I can sustain with other bodies to make him weaker. Even though I can't use her really at all, because she's so maimed mentally and physically, as you know. But Citroni is going to die. Yeah, but I have someone else that's training the guitar. But yeah, he's going to die. She's looking for a brave. It's like they're trying to kill our morale. It's like, oh, you have this great civilization. Okay, well, we have this army that you can't contend with. We're going to execute your bravest people. And my society can bring Isma back to life, but we have to get stronger to not allow someone like this to do that. And that's what I'm trying to do. It's like I need to get like another heavy strength weapon. So it's like that's why I need to go after the antelope to get some like better weapon choices. You know, maybe do weapon crafting. Weapon crafting, to make a weapon crafter, it's 3 bone and 1 hide. I could go ahead and even innovate weapon crafting also is an option. Let me go back to the event, but I think I already know what I want to do. I just feel like even though I could do battle with this person, I could end up losing 4 people instead of just 1. And like the butcher would look like hide armor but had dangerous weapons, but this person's armored and my weapons are like piercing. And like to hit someone that has like armor, like it's like you're battling a knight, you need to either crush them or you need to get in between their plates to hit. I'm not sure you could shoot arrows in between their plates. You'd have to get in close, really in close, which may just be the guitar. And no one's armored except for this one person. Plus whatever else weird mystical powers they have, so. Because he saw the butcher had mystical powers. Like when he did Hack City, that was like a nightmare attack that went beyond his physicality. Like he only did like 8 attacks, but in reality he should have done like 20. So Trony should have died. So that's why I think he should die, because he was kind of had it coming. You know, he saved his people from the butcher, but now he has to do the final sacrifice, and now the people have to give back, who are not helping the civilization to sustain Isma, who will sustain the civilization. He's granting this power to the civilization, the balance of shadow. All right, cool. That's what we're going to do. So Trony had it coming, and now it's coming. All right, so I'm going back to Armored Strangers so I can conclude this so I can get on. Because I need to go to the bathroom again. Sorry. And then we'll do the endeavors and purchasing stuff, assuming whatever the hell happens after this story event. All right. So, going back. The survivors have no choice but to helplessly await their mute deliberations. So that makes me think that it was this huge army. And again, the army didn't speak, they just counted, and then the bravest survivors are rounded up and executed. Okay, so in this case, that means 2 people are technically killed, but Isma doesn't really count as a death. So, but I want to log it. So on the death count, it probably doesn't even count as a death because I'm bringing her back. I just have to do the ability. So on the death count, I'm marking it to 3. And population goes now down to 11. And then I'm marking Citroni died. And then I'll say how. I'll say executed. Executed by Kingsman. Settlement visit. Okay. So Citroni has died. But because Citroni died, remember other stuff triggers as well. So it's not a total loss. Because I'm like, Citroni somehow evaded the darkness. But it's like, you know, because that's what I think. My civilization, like, whereas we're creative and doing what we can to survive as a people in the living, we also celebrate life and celebrate death. So, like, hey, we have this possible celebration. Citroni's body will be used to save civilization from these people, and then we'll use his body as resources to help the people empower them. Alright, so Citroni died, but when Citroni dies, remember, I'm not counting Isma as a death because you're sustaining her, so you're not harvesting, so I'm not counting as a death. But I'll put a penalty on everybody, which I'll do next. But cannibalize. Whenever a survivor dies, draw 1 basic resource and add it to the settlement storage. Okay, so we get a random resource. So that's, and also remember, I also have the ability that when a survivor dies, that I also empower people. So because we had a survivor die, Isma can't truly die, so I don't count that because it's more like a penalty if something happens to her. So I have to give 3 survivors -1 all permanent stats. And then 3 people, I can give 1 permanent stat, and I regain a resource because Citroni died, due to the death trait of Ismortah. Alright, so we gain a random resource, which is we got a monster hide. Citroni is now dead. And I updated the death total and the population and stated how he died. All right, next I'll do the permanent upgrades from. So now 3 people get a +1 stat, and that's also the end of the story event. Just someone died when they visited. All right, so now I take 3 people. I give them a +1 any stat. So I could give Eltcore +1 evasion, so he's at 2. So Eltcore got +1, and then I can give 2 other people +1, and I'll do that with Sonaris has an active grid. So I gave someone evasion. I kind of want to give another person speed, and another person maybe accuracy, or maybe 2 speed. Let's see. What else we got here? Timothy has +1 accuracy, so I'll give him +2. I'll give him an accuracy bonus. Okay. So now I can do it for 1 more person. Let's do it on, Volva's compromised because of her disorders so bad. Volta and Elcor are potentials. I just did one Elcor, did one Timothy. I want to do an active gear grids that I have. So Volatile, I'll increase. Volatile's problems is has to stay insane to fight. So I'll have her strength go from 1 to 2. 4 to 5. So I increase someone's strength by 1, someone's accuracy by 1, right? Accuracy by 1, evasion by 1, and strength by 1. So his life force went into these people. And then we harvest his body for resource. He died. Now I do the -1 all stats on 3 people. And again, I'll do active gear grids. And I'm going to do it on people, obviously, who are compromised, so I can't use anyway. This is strategy here. So people who are apathetic is the primary thing. And I can't do Isma. It like prevents her from dying. She's defeated instead. And now the question here, and this is the question I had in the beginning, is when she dies, do I still have all of her impairments? Like, does it 100% heal this person if I do that? The fact I want to say, like, it sustains her life force, I kind of think I should just have when she's defeated, if she would have killed, instead she's defeated, but still maimed. That's how I'll play it. Alright, so Gora, I can give minus stats. Valerie, give minus stats, and Volva, give minus stats. So everyone that's apathetic will sustain Isma. And then Citroni's death helped enrich other people with his life force. And then we harvested his body. And so he's like, they're, you know, I mean, regardless, they got executed. But just what happened with the energies of light and darkness due to these people dying, with the involvement of Isma and Ismortah, the religion. Alright, so everyone that's apathetic will get -1 all stats. So I'm just gonna do that right quick. So -1, -1, -1, -1, and then this was +1, so now it's 0. Okay, so that's Gora. And then we have Valerie, who now has -1, -1, -1. Loses +1, +1. Gore and Valerie, as you recall, were in the Triathlon of Death. And Volva was a new person who I gave hunt experience to, was in 1 hunt, but then got blasted. And she learned extra sense, so I still want to share that with people. But yeah, she's obliterated, though. Because she can't use her spent survival at all, and that's huge in this game. So she gets -1, -1, -1, -1, and loses her +1, so it's 0. Okay, so that's the 3 people. So Isma would have died, instead got defeated, still maimed. These 3 people sustained her life force. Citroni got killed, his life force went into 3 other people, and then we harvested 1 resource from his body. The people went and executed the people who were the most courageous. Looks like they had overpowering because it was an army, and then left. And that's what happened. Alright, so that's the story stuff for the settlement. Next up is I update the death count, which I just did. Update the result, what happens when people died. I did. Milestones I don't do, because like I said, I do that as they triggered when they happen. So now we can develop and prepare starting survivors. So now we're developing. So we got 4 resources from the settlement event, actually. You know, we lost... We had people gain stats and lose stats, so it balances out. And then we lost a really good fighter, but we did gain 4 resources out of the event as well. So, you know, when you look at the balance of light and dark, like, there was balance. We had a good person visit, and we had a bad person visit. We got good stats, we got bad stats. Citroni died, but you know what? He kind of had to come in with the butcher. So it's like he helped save the civilization, you know? He tanked the butcher and then gave his life to save everyone from... Like, he almost, remember, in the butcher fight, walked away to sacrifice himself from the butcher. But instead, he maintained. So, if I knew Hack City, if I read it correctly, was an impossible situation, I might have had him walk off. But I may not have had him because, like I said, I spent so many resources on guitars that I probably would have still fought to the death. But, you know, I mean, it's like he had that choice then, and he got this choice again. So it's, you know, he was like destined to sacrifice himself for civilization. Cool. All right, so now we will do endeavors. So I'll keep with doing story stuff first. So I will definitely innovate. So we will do that first. So I have to spend an endeavor and also a bone, an organ, and a hide. So I'll spend a skull, a monster bone. I'm sorry, that's the wrong thing. A hide. You know what? I'll keep the claw just in case. I'll use a hide, a skull, and I need an organ. And I'll use a monster organ, actually. So I have organ, bone, hide. So I use these 3 in endeavor, archived. Now I can innovate. So I draw 2 from the top, which I already shuffled, and I get 1. Right, so we draw 2. And we got bloodletting and partnership. So these are both interesting because partnership, it looks like a couple. That could be very good for intimacy. And since I have people dying, you know, if I do the light focus of Ismortah, the religion, you get stats if you're involved in having sex. But then bloodletting, I've seen before, that's a way I could have cured the plague, if I recall, by bloodletting. So we'll definitely see what both of these do. All right, so bloodletting, I could spend an endeavor, and it's breathing a vein. Spend 1 resource. If you roll an 8+, I can heal 2 different severe injuries that it identifies, or one disorder of my choice. So that's interesting, because that means if I have a really bad disorder, I can bloodlet to make someone lose a disorder. But I have to roll an 8+. Otherwise, they gain an understanding or gain insanity. So it's a low chance, but I could remove a disorder. But it's pretty chancy just to do it. Or partnership, you spend 2 endeavors, nominate 2 survivors, they pair off, and each gains the partner ability. And you can only nominate a survivor can only be nominated for partnership once a lifetime. And they can nominate each other for intimacy. But when a partner dies, their other partner gets a random disorder and loses the partner ability because they're no longer a partner. This is very interesting, if I'm reading this correctly. Because partners, if they both arrive, if they're both involved in a showdown, they gain survival up to their survival limit, regardless of how much survival they have. Oh, it doesn't add to intimacy though. It just says that a partner can only nominate another partner for intimacy. It doesn't say it triggers it. It just says that if you want them to do intimacy, they have to do their partner. They have to do their partner. Good pun. So it looks like the only... Just see what's the point. So I spent 2 endeavors to give 2 people max survival, it looks like. And there may be things that proc off the word partner because that's in bold. So that's probably also true. So I have to say, these 2 innovations are not that great, I would say. So it looks like for bloodletting, though, it's better for giving someone insanity. You have a pretty good chance of giving someone a lot of insanity, a slight chance of curing a disorder, and a slight chance of gaining 1 understanding and losing all survival. But bloodletting is what I could also by default cure me of the plague, if I recalled. Like, I had to do ammonia, but bloodletting, I knew it was another way. But I do want to have more effective intimacy. And I just wonder if partnership plays a role in that. Now, I did look at that page before, so I'll look at it again. Like, does partnership increase the capability to do intimacy? You would think so, because you have dedicated partners, right? You think like they would like practice where to stick it and stuff? I don't know. But they did highlight the word, so I think that has special meaning also in intimacy. And I am about life and death. So the fact that I had this sacrifice that was really honoring death to empower the civilization, whereas love also empowers the civilization. So that's why I think maybe thematically I should do partnership. Also, oh my god, I just looked it up. Sorry. These are tough decisions, man. 133. I'm way off. Nothing listed in intimacy. Partnership or bloodletting. Now, one of the things to consider also with the civilization is I have really good ways to gain survival right now. By default, I always will get 4. because of Whisker Harp and my principles. But I don't have a really effective way to gain insanity. The only way right now you gain a little bit of insanity is with the stone noses, but I have no way to gain a lot of insanity on somebody. And with bloodletting, I can gain a lot of insanity and even potentially cure a disorder. So maybe that is the better way to go. Because it also doesn't say that I can only do it once. So I can attempt it multiple times, give someone a lot of insanity, or to keep chance to try to cure a disease. Let me just read partnership one more time to see what else. Nominate 2 survivors. They pair off, and each gains the partner ability. A survivor may be nominated for partnership once per lifetime. So that means if you pair someone for a partnership and the partner dies and they lose partnership, you can't then have them be a partner of somebody else. That's what it means. Yeah, it looks like it's just an effective way. So it's like I have a way to gain max survival or a way to gain a lot of insanity and potentially cure a disorder. The fact that I don't have a way to cure insanity, though. Like, I've innovated ways, to be creative initially, language and paint, and then having to do with loving, a bed and a hovel, and then if society had advanced technology, ammonia in an oven. But, I mean, that plague thing was a huge problem. So I think as a society, I need to not only find a way to prevent disease, because that would wipe off the entire civilization. Like, if I rolled crap with ammonia, I still would have had people die. But I don't have a way to ensure people are insane, because insanity is what also helps protect, And out the gate, I can't make someone insane. Whereas new players out the gate, I could do bloodletting to make them insane. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do bloodletting. So this goes back to innovation deck. Oh my god, what did I do? Partnership goes back to my innovation deck, which is here. Bloodletting, I add. I'm just going to record it. And then I look for ammonia consequences, but I've already done ammonia consequences. So I don't add any additional stuff to my innovation deck that I made. Now I'm going to add bloodletting. So this is good. As far as societal, the fact that I have a way to give people insanity, since I already have ways to give people survival. And I could cure potentially these. If I have a really good person get a disorder, I can remove it. And then also, if I get plague again, I can prevent the plague, which would be great. Alright, so for this, I'm adding bloodletting to my innovations. Which is endeavor. So gain insanity. And remove disorder. I can remove a disorder or gain insanity. Cool. So we learned bloodletting. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 innovations and 2 principles. Okay, so that was my innovation. Now I have 3 endeavors I can do left. So because we had death, I kind of want to attempt intimacy again with 1, maybe even with 2. But I definitely want to spend 1 to do shadow ritual. And I can also spend 1. What I could do is I can also spend 1 for weapon crafter, since I need weapons in order to penetrate, and I know I'm going to make some armor right now. Some better weapons with the weapon crafter. So that's definitely something I might think about doing. And I want to try intimacy again. Just because we had people die, I need to make sure I chance raising the population, because I have population of people that go out and fight, and population of people that need to just sustain the population with their life force, or sharing stuff with the settlement. So I think that's the plan. So first off, I'm gonna do Shadow Ritual and share Keen Sense with people. So I'm gonna spend 1 endeavor on that. And that was, I've already shared Rare Fist with people who had extra sense. So I'm going to share that with 3 other people. So Volva will get another disorder, and then 3 people will get extra sense. That you can spend 2 dodge per round. That's what I will do. So first I'll give her a disorder. So I need to shuffle the disorder deck to see what random disorder she gets. I mean, regardless, I had this overpowering army, and so the execution happened. It just, the explanation was more like what happened with the life energies. But as far as the choice, it's like, you know, I lose 1 good person as opposed to losing 4 people, because I would need good people to try to do combat with this person, obviously, because it's a boss encounter. I just feel like I only have one weapon that can really do damage. You figure like if you find something with knight armor, right? You either have to get in close and stab between the plates, or you just bash them and only have 1 bashing weapon. So that is a problem. The other thing I was thinking about is like a slicing weapon, because if you could slice between the plates, then you could like cut somebody's arm off, you know? Instead of just stabbing them, hurting, you can actually like dismember. That's what I was thinking, like a sword or an axe for somebody to do. And that could be in addition to the bow also. The bow could just be a ranged weapon option. Since it is range 6. I'm just shuffling the disorder deck. Alright, so the disorder that she gets is traumatized. Your experiences have left you shaken and paralyzed by fear. Whenever you end your act adjacent to a monster, you're knocked down. Alright. So that's a terrible one, because that means every time you battle, you're also knocked down. So that's terrible, but she's going to not be in battle anyway, so it doesn't matter. She's sharing her knowledge with the tribe at the cost of her sanity. It's all about giving for the civilization, is what it is. Either in life or in death, or in the creation of life. In this case, it's sustaining of life. She gets shadow, other people get light. So traumatized. If and turn by monster Katie. Meaning knockdown. Okay, so she got a disorder. Now 3 people now get extra sense. 2 times can dodge per round. Okay, so who are the people that I want to share this with? People that can dodge twice. Valerie's out, Volva's out, Gorda's out. Snahavium already has 3 abilities. I could give it to Timothy. Oko already has 2 abilities. 3 people died. Isma, 3 people are disabled. I could give it to also one of this. Well, one of the disabled people already has it though. I could give it to Snahavion, Timothy, and Oko. That's what I could do. So right now I have 3 people dead. Isma's mentally and physically maimed. I have 3 people disabled mentally. So none of these. Volatile has 2 fighting arts. Eltcore has 2. I want to share it kind of like the span, so I could do 1, 2, and 4 experience. So I'll give it to Timothy, Oko, and Snahavian. But I will replace Snahavian's crazed. Perfect hit get 1 insanity because that hardly never happens anyway. And I'll replace that with these traits. Okay, so these 3 people get extra sense. And that's the endeavor. That's that endeavor. So I have 2 left. Now let's recording the fighting art. Extra sense. 2 times dodge per round. It doesn't mean survival is 2 dodge. It just means that you could spend survival twice on a dodge action per round. Okay. So she loses crazed. Snahavium loses crazed. And then gains extra sense. Which is good because when you pair that with evasion, she's a hard target. Okay, so I shared that with 3 people, so that was that. Okay. Traumatized, I'll archive. So now I have 2 endeavors left. And like I said, the fact that we had death, I definitely want to attempt intimacy again. And what I did again right here was a shadow ritual that I give 1 person a disorder, which then allows me to share 1 of their fighting arts or weapons specializations with 3 other survivors. So that's a way to sort of keep it within the civilization. Sacrifice for the civilization. Okay. God. The fact that I need a better weapon crafting is very interesting. As well as going after the antelope, because the antelope stuff could have more weapon options also. So it's like, I want to open up weapon options. And finding antelope to already be armor options also. But it's like, I could see it's a problem. Giving people enough armor, people potentially have enough survival, but it's like, okay, but can I kill this person? Now, if I went Skinner, I can make leather, which then I can make a pickaxe and a bone axe to get more supplies. But I'm burning a ton of armor, of hide, if I want to complete this rawhide armor set now. So that's why I think, but I have a lot of bones left. Because I have some stuff in settlement also. I have 2 skulls, a wild card, an eye of cat, and 2 lanterns. I want to use the Eye of Cat and the Eye of Circlet in case I need to manipulate the hit deck. And I'll use 1 bone on this, most likely. A bone and a scrap to make this moss tooth necklace to have a bonus to strength. That leaves then a scrap, an organ, 3 bones. That leaves me 4 bones and 3 organs. And 1 wild card. Alright. If I use the eye on that, and let's say, I'm sorry, I do have 1 hide. And let's say I use the sinew on the fecal salve. That way someone has the ability to drop aggro. That leaves these resources. 2 more lanterns. So I have 3 lanterns. A wild card. A skull. Okay. I mean, I could innovate weapon crafter. I could build it, I mean. That way when I get resources off the antelope, I can swap between weapon crafting options and antelope options. It is an idea. And the reason why I have Harley Eye is because, like I said, I'm blowing it. And then I'll blow bones on making the weapon crafter. And then organs, I'm using a couple to make ways to control behavior. Like, this controls the monster hit locations, and this will enable someone to drop aggro. Not be a threat, anyway. So it can't be targeted if they're targeting a threat. I think that's the plan. I think I'll do that. Okay, so it's the weapon crafter costs an endeavor, 3 bones, and 1 hide. So I have two skulls in my storage. So I can use 2 skulls and a lion claw and 1 hide and endeavor, and I'll make weapon crafter. We'll do that. We need to explore more weapon options. So that's 3 bone and 1 hide. So I'll erase 2 skulls in storage. And the claw. So it's 3 bones, 1 hide, 1 endeavor, and now we'll make a weapon crafter, because I see that's a problem. It's like I have people wearing fucking armor. I can't make armor like that because I don't have the resources. So it's like I'll go after the antelope, but it's like, okay, but how are we going to attack these people at least? We have people to sacrifice, but how are you going to hit these people? All right, so weapon crafter, and I'll show this to you. All right, so we got a lot of cool options here. I'll show you the pick. Weapon crafter. A lot of stuff. And so this stuff requires heat. But I just learned heat last year with the lantern oven. And this allows me to make stuff like a counterweighted axe, a skull cap hammer, so maybe a powerful hammer, a large axe. I can make a mace. I can make a zambato. So it looks like really sharp and really heavy hitting weapons. This is probably what I'm going to need. So, boom. Plus, it has an innovate that I can scrap scavenge. That a survivor carefully searches the settlement edge, groping in the dark for pieces of broken lanterns and suitable debris. And it's a way that I can gain broken lantern resources. Potentially. Cool. So we learned weapon crafter. Oh, we didn't learn it. We made it. We innovated the ability to craft weapons, better weapons, to penetrate this better armor that enemies seem to have. Again, what I'm aiming for are weapons that are sharp or heavy smashing. So something that has a lot of strength, and also the ability to be sharp, so I can like dismember somebody. Is what I'm aiming for. Like here, I have a lot of piercing weapons. I have in-close piercing, range piercing, artillery piercing, a bashing. I just want to get another bashing and a slicing. And so that's why weapon crafting is good. Plus, I had a lot of spare bones. Okay, so I'm adding that to the settlement that I learned weapon crafter. Okay. Done. So we innovated that. Now I have 1 innovation left, and for this, I am going to do intimacy. And so left, we still have, let's say I spent all this stuff. I still have 3 lanterns and 2 bones and 1 organ and 1 triple question mark. So technically, I have enough to even, let's say, wipe on the antelope, which I shouldn't. I could still innovate. Innovation is very important, as you know. So one of the things I could do, since I haven't unlocked this, I could do bloodletting, actually. I could give somebody insanity right now, or cure a disorder. So before I commit to doing intimacy, let's see if there's anyone that I really want to give insanity, or... And actually, another way I can give insanity that I keep forgetting is using the helm. So if I know I'm about to win a battle, I could purposely do the helm to burn survival to give everyone insanity if they're not insane. So that's one way I could give everybody insanity as well. Because if you're not insane, it gives you insanity. If you are insane, then you get +2 strength until the end of the round. And that would be good for helping hit people too. Because I can encourage to give everyone +2 strength. That's actually really good. Alright, so... I said I wanted to do intimacy. Oh no, I said I was going to see if anyone had this a disorder that's really annoying I want to try to heal. Snahaviums would be good to try to heal, even though it's not terrible. Same with Oko. Oko, whenever it gets in the head, he's knocked down. Snahavium, she can't attack a monster from behind, or if it's knocked down, because she's honorable. It's like you're treating the monster as an honorable opponent. Eltcore has one that's annoying. You have to move 1 space every round. I think that's the one I want to try to... I think that's one I may try to bloodlet, because I want him to have more insanity, or I want to get rid of this. That way he can be cumbersome and just stand in one place and fight. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do. Because I really need to cure that. Volatile, if I get rid of Prey, cannot spend survival less insane. That'll make her less vulnerable, because right now she has 3 insanity. But I think I want to do Eltcore first. I want to try bloodletting on Eltcore. Okay. If I can cure that, that'd be great. Or if I don't, he's going to gain potentially a lot of insanity. Is the idea. Okay, so that is 1d10. Oh, it's both. You have to spend 1 resource and roll a d10. I don't know how to play this game, apparently. Spend 1 resource and roll a d10. Fuck. So that means potentially you could be wasting a resource just to give somebody insanity. Christ. I mean, that's really good if I need it, but it's like, that's very situational. Like, bed can cure broken stuff, otherwise it's... Well, no, that also added to my survival limit, actually. But bloodletting. I have to spend a resource. That's why it's good to get a bunch of resources. I don't know if I want to burn all my broken lanterns. How many do I have? I have 3. Because, like you see, I use the scrap to make this. Let's see, do you need scraps with Weapon Crafter? You do. You need 1 scrap to make the hammer, a scrap to make the sword. So you actually need a couple scraps. You need a scrap if you want to make the scrap dagger. Fuck. But Eltcore is really good, man. Alright. You know what we're going to do? We're going to try bloodletting. We're going to spend the lantern. Because I still have 2. So I still have enough scraps that I can make 1 hammer and a scrap sword, let's say. I could definitely still do that. Fuck. Or I could do intimacy. I did say originally I was going to do intimacy. Maybe I'll hold off. Because the scraps, I want to be able to make weapons, but then I'll have no scraps. I want to at least have one of every resource. That way, in case the unknown happens, I can purchase stuff. Besides him, I can always dash. Anyway. I mean, Bloodladen's good. It's very situational. It's the same with Bed. Like, it can cure certain things. This can solve certain problems and dire needs. But let's try intimacy. We have people die. Let's try to balance the scales and create life. Since that's what we're all about, is the balance. Okay. This was embrace, we embrace death, and then we gotta embrace life. Okay, so intimacy, where is it? Augury. The survivor endeavors to glean the meaning of existence. Roll on the table. Okay, so who's going to glean the meaning of existence? I was holding endeavor and I just lost it. I don't know where it went. I don't know. Okay, so who's the potential couple? Because those people also gain stats if it works. So, and to get intimacy, I have to roll an 8+. So it's sort of like bloodletting. You have to roll an 8+, so you can cure disorder. If you roll an 8+ on augury, they can trigger intimacy. Otherwise, you only gain 1 survival. But this, you waste also an endeavor. You waste an endeavor, but also a resource. But then you gain a shit ton of insanity. But, see, that's another thing. You can use Frenzy Drink to gain insanity. I keep forgetting stuff. Like, if I do Frenzy Drink, I can give one person insanity. They just can't use survival for the rest of the showdown, but also gain temporary stats. If I roar at the end when I'm about to kill somebody, I can give everyone a little bit of survival if they're not at 3. Frenzy Drink, you give one person a lot of insanity. So I do have some ways to give insanity. It's just cool that I have an additional way. Push comes to shove. Man, 8+, that's really hard to roll. I mean, 8+, like, there's a lot of, the odds are against you. But, I mean, the odds gets me here as well. So, like, this is kind of like, you have a great chance of gaining insanity, or you could possibly cure disorder. No, fuck. I'll go for intimacy. I'll go for it. If I fuck up, I'll either get 1 survival, or I'll get 1 understanding. Which would put him at 2 understanding, so he'd be closer to 3, so yeah, alright, let's do it. So we'll have Eltkor, who's one of the children, potentially be one of the parents. And then who's a potential kid? Do I have any new girls? Let me see, who is Votel? Votel... Oh no, Votel and Eltkor were the twins. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to have Votel and Eltkor mate with each other. That'd be weird. But I do have other names. So I could add Samantha and create her card if this works, let's say. And I can have Samantha, one of the other people in civilization, and Eltkor be the parents. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm seeing who other targets. Yep, that's what we'll do. All right, so I'll roll for augury. Sorry, this is going a little bit longer than it should. There's a lot of choices. Nope. We rolled a 3. Which means... Oh, I didn't realize that. I don't know how to read. Man, I don't know how to read. So I'm not going to hold it against me because I didn't read. This says if it's 1 to 3, I lose a resource. Whereas this, you lose a resource. Oh, they're all kind of similar. Like this, you lose a resource in Endeavor, 1 to 3. And 1 to 3, this, you lose a resource in Endeavor, gain 1 Understanding. These two are exactly the same. It does 4 to 7, gain a Survival. And this 4 to 7, gain 3 Insanity. This 8 plus, you get Intimacy, Children plus Stats. 8 plus, you lose Disorder and gain a shit ton of Insanity. So, I'm just doomed to lose a resource. Okay, so I attempted it. I gained... Oh, wait. Add 3... Add 1 to your roll result if your understanding is 3 or higher. Oh, so that's why I want to have people do it to have higher understanding, because you have a higher chance. Oh, because you can always add 1. That means you just need a 7 plus to trigger Intimacy. Oh, and that's why I was using Volatile. Well, in any case, even if I was using Volatile, I rolled a 3, it would have been a 4. So, whatever. I already committed. Okay. So I lose a resource, so I'll lose a lantern, unfortunately. And then that person gains 1 understanding. So Eldcor goes to 2. So he's got 3 courage and 2 understanding. Whereas Volatile has 3 courage, 3 understanding. So the kids of the parents, of which one of them died, are actually pretty knowledgeable of this nightmare landscape, which is thematically pretty cool. They taught the kids well. Okay, so that's all of the endeavors. Now I will do buying stuff. So I will use my Eye of Cat that I have to make the cat eye circlet, which I will show you. If this could focus. As an action, I can reveal the next 3 monster hit locations and put them back in any order. So if I want to try to control something that I don't want to see for hit locations, like a trap, I can prevent it so I can do some hits before the trap. Is the idea there? If that becomes a situation that it's trap-tastic. So I'm erasing Eye of Cat. And I bought that. Okay, I'll put it up here. Next thing I want to buy is the Monster Tooth Necklace. And actually, I just realized that I could potentially even make some of these weapons now if I have stuff too. But I think I may wait to get the Antelope, because I want to have enough to innovate, just in case. If I use a scrap and a monster bone, I can make a Monster Tooth Necklace. And I also need heat, which I now have. So I'll do that. What the Monster Tooth Necklace does is it adds +1 to strength, but then if I have completed 2 red squares on a gear grid, it adds an additional strength, which is highly likely with the cat set, for example, because you have a lot of reds. Cool, so I made a Monster Tooth Necklace. Next thing I want to complete is the White Lion Armor, which is from the Katarian. I want to make the White Lion Skirt, which costs 1 fur and 1 hide. 1 fur, 1 hide. The White Lion Skirt just adds 2 to waist, whereas before I had 1. But it has 2 reds, you see, so you can easier to complete those Monster Tooth Necklace stuff. And on the gear, now that I have 5 pieces, now I could also rock this on somebody. White Lion Armor. That adds a bonus 1 armor to all locations. And then your weapons are your claws. Gain +1 speed and +2 strength when attacking with daggers or guitars. And you see I have someone with guitars. So I also have that. Next thing I want to do is actually go ahead and make the entire set of rawhide armor. That way I have 2 people with armor. So to complete the set, that's going to cost, for rawhide, that's at the skinnery. So I did augury at the organ grinder. I made some stuff at the bonesmith, made some stuff at the guitarium, innovated at the lantern horde, constructed a weapon crafter, and now I'm doing stuff at the skinnery. So it's cool, so I'm doing stuff at every location. We had a horrible thing happen to our settlement, but our settlement is in full industry. Alright, so for skinnery, everything costs 1 hide. So I'm spending 2 wild cards that can be a bone, organ, or a hide. And then I'm turning the shimmering mane into 2 basic hides, so I have 4 hides. And I need 4 hides to make the 4 pieces I'm missing, because I already had rawhide boots. Boom. Alright, so we're making rawhide pants, 1 armor, rawhide gloves, 1 armor, but also when you do depart, bonus survival, rawhide vest. If you complete the puzzle of blue and red, you get a bonus to evasion. And then rawhide headband, which adds 1 armor, but as an action, I can look at the top 2 AI and put them back in any order. So the idea here is I have potential to manipulate the AI deck of the monster or the hit deck of the monster. More options to try to control behavior, because that's one of the things I haven't really addressed yet, is controlling what the monster can do or is going to do. And by completing the whole set, now I also have a set of rawhide armor bonus. That when someone's rocking everything, they get a bonus, +1 to all hit locations, and when you perform a survival action, roll 1d10. On a 6+, regain 1 survival. So potentially with this, every time I spend survival, I can get it back. So that means I can use survival not only as a defense mechanism, but actually as a resource to do stuff, is the idea. Alright, so I also bought 1, 2, 3, 4, and rocking that set. And then, lastly, I was thinking about buying a fecal salve, which you make at the organ grinder. So I've made stuff at every single place, and I constructed the weapon crafter. The fecal salve, to make that, costs 1 organ, so let's think about spending a sinew. That I can make the fecal salve, which, when you depart, you get a bonus survival, yes. But then also, as an action, I can have it be that I'm not counted as a threat. So if someone's behavior is they go after a threat, they can't target me. And if I had the priority target token, I can remove it. Unless there's exceptions like the butcher that said the priority target can't be removed regardless. But that's also because he went to a fanatical lunatic rage. So I can, as a way to drop aggro. So people without a lot of armor have a choice that they can spend survival, or as an action they can just evade to get into a better situation. Cool. So I innovated, lost people, lost resources, gained stats, lost stats. A lot of change, but also a lot of growth. Alright, so for remaining resources, which I'll archive, I now have 2 broken lanterns, 1 wild card, 1 organ, and 2 bones. So I kind of have like a little bit of everything. And then I gained 2, now I have 2 full sets of armor, and some ways to control monster behavior with aggro, AI deck, and hit deck. And then bonus strength, because you see in order to damage plate armor, maybe I have to have higher strength, is the idea there. And that is what I'm doing for the settlement phase. So I'm not going to do the figuring out departing people until the hunt phase, because that's really preparing for the hunt. So then that is it for this stream. So off stream, I'm just going to log all of these materials. And then the next stream will be the hunt phase. So it'll be preparing starting survivors in their gear, doing the hunt, and then preparing the initial layout of the showdown on how we want to attack this next monster, which I will be going after the antelope. So if you want to see my first attempt at the antelope in this campaign, tune in next episode. That is going to be the hunt for the screaming antelope. Well, thanks for watching. Again, this is Ismortah, and I will catch you next time.